If you'd like to see more of our videos, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube or follow us here on Instagram. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today's February 5th, 2020. And today is Wednesday morning, so looking at the major economic events of the day coming out at 3:15 South African time. Out of the United States, we have ADP non-farm employment change numbers coming out. Now, this is not the NFP. This is a preliminary numbers that's coming out. The NFP is coming out this Friday. Now, later in the day at 5 p.m. South African time, we have ISM non-manufacturing PMI number coming out in the United States as well. Okay, this is an important number that's coming out, so you definitely want to know that it's coming out. Now, looking at the Forex signals, we saw the Aussie dollar have a hard bounce, but the question is it a dead cat bounce or is it a hard bounce? We'll take a look at both of those scenarios. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones rallies big yesterday, but there's some uncertainties, and that's recorded in aftermarket trading where we actually paired some of our gains yesterday. And looking at the commodities, gold slides, okay, yesterday, but it's taking a bounce right now. Oil bounces, but the question is how much further is it going to extend that bounce? And lastly, looking at the stocks, two of the FANG stocks are on all-time highs. And we'll take a look at a couple of options there as well as things are are developing throughout the week. But let's take a look at the markets. So we're taking a look here at the Aussie USD at a 4-hour chart. You can see we had this nice bounce yesterday off of this 66.84-ish level, but it's maintaining itself. Okay, this does look like it's having a hard bounce, and the reason is if we look at some of the other pairs, they're actually giving way. Okay, when we look at the Euro USD, we actually saw it also bounce, but then give way to 110.37. And we look at the GBP, it's the same story. We're back down. So between all three, right now, the Aussie dollar is actually the strongest versus the USD, as it hasn't given up its pair. Now, this does represent a little bit of a harder bounce, so maybe this 66.84 for now is a bottom. Okay, something to actually digest. However, if the GBP does break this 129.84 or the euro breaks this 109-ish level, 110.99-ish level, then it would be a different story. But for right now, it does look like it's holding its own versus the USD. Now, jumping into the commodities, this is gold yesterday, a massive sell-off. Okay, we're looking at a 4-hour chart. You can see here from 1575-ish level, we sold off all the way down to 1550-ish level. And this is what I mentioned the other day, that we may see this correction if the Dow Jones goes up. And sure enough, this is exactly what happened. So right now, we're bouncing off of that 1550-ish level to 1561. Now, again, a couple of scenarios. If the Dow Jones continues to go higher today, then I would see this actually testing this low of 1551 once again. If not, then we may be hitting a small little bottom, okay, for now, all right, in terms of having a bottom range for the price of gold. Now, jumping into oil, which has also been tremendously in the markets, it's under $50 a barrel. It's $49.79. Now, that is a very bearish setup, okay, especially as we're still in the midst of the winter. Okay, now obviously what's going on in China is being affected by this, not consuming as much oil because there's quarantine and because less business activity there and less transportation, etc., etc., etc. However, this is a very important number that we're looking at. So if it does continue to break down, we could see it break down below $48 a barrel. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, this is what I'm talking about, 28,721. And we see this really trading at a, between these two ranges, okay, between 28,820-ish level and 28,200-ish level. So we're in about a 600-point move, okay, 600-point range. But all said and done, okay, if this does challenge this upper limit again, and we do make further correction on the upside, because the stocks are still very strong. If we compare the NASDAQ, it's very, very strong, okay, almost on its all-time highs, okay, compared to the Dow, okay. So the traditional stocks are catching up to the rest of the market. Okay, when we look at, so what am I talking about? When we look at Amazon, it's on all-time highs. Okay, that's one of the two FANG stocks that I'm talking about that are especially very, very strong. On 2047, when we look at Facebook, it's not as strong, okay, which is one of the FANG stocks. So there's a rotation is coming back. Apple also not one of the, breaking out on the 326 side. But however, if I jump to Microsoft, it's on its all-time highs, 179. So markets are taking, again, that shift, okay? They're taking that rotation where one stock is leading, then another stock is leading, then another stock is leading. So that rotation is coming back, okay? So the markets are still very, very strong, and it just have to wait for the Dow to actually catch up to some of these stocks, okay? When we look at some of the bank stocks, okay, they did come back a little bit yesterday to 136, but they're not at their highs. They're not at 140, 142, 145. They're not breaking out higher, okay? If we look at a weekly, you could actually see that much clearer that it is challenging, okay? So it will challenge this 140 again, but the question is, will it break higher, okay? Clearly, the tech stocks are breaking out higher, but the question is the old school stocks going to break out higher also, okay? A few things that we have to consider. Yesterday, President Trump gave a speech as a State of the Union. Economy is doing well, everything's doing well, but there's certain things that are in the background, right? There's China relations, there's a few things that are outstanding with Iran. Okay, so there are some uncertainties. We still have Venezuela actually breaking down, okay, economically there. So there are some things that could affect us in other ways as well. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.